Namaskaraha. Welcome to all of you to our next session on the Yogic Life. So, in one of the previous classes, there was a question regarding Vairagya. One Magni asked me to say a little bit more about Vairagya. Obviously, we'll be learning about it a lot more later on, but I would like to just give a brief, brief description about what Vairagya is. So, generally speaking, Vairagya means how it is understood in the world is that it means like retiring from the world. That is how it is understood in the world. Retiring from the world and living in a cave or in a Himalaya and doing penance. That is what is considered as Vairagya. At least that is the common understanding of people. But the common meaning is retiring from the world and leading a life of self-denial and practicing excessive austerity. That is how it is understood. But actually speaking, Vairagya does not mean that. Vairagya does not mean leaving the world and living in a mountain or a cave. It does not mean it does not mean recluse. So what is Vairagya? Vairagya is Viragasya Bhavaha Vairagyam. Viragasya Bhavaha Vairagyam. Does not mean Raga does not mean angry. Does not mean angry. Raga means color, right? Vairagya means to understand the proper use of things, and using them correctly. So everything has a use, every object has a use, and it is understanding what is the proper use of a particular object and putting them to correct use is Vairagya. So in a sense, it means not working under the control of the crude objects of the world. So not operating under the crude objects of the world. For example, like alcohol. Alcohol is an intoxicant. So if somebody takes, starts drinking alcohol and likes alcohol, and he's colored by alcohol, he's constantly thinking about alcohol, then that alcohol is harmful for both the body and the mind. And the use of alcohol as an intoxicant has to be given up. So also that is one use of alcohol, the use of alcohol as an intoxicant. And also doctors sometimes prescribe alcohol in medicine, right? Alcohol is included in medicine for treating various diseases. And the same intoxicant alcohol, when it becomes a medicine, it relieves the patient of their suffering. So the same alcohol, now it has a difference in its use. So alcohol, which was an intoxicant that is not good for your body and mind, whereas the same alcohol, if it is included in the medicine, then it changes its character from being a harmful intoxicant to being a useful medicine. So the use of alcohol as a medicine is its proper use, and the use of alcohol as an intoxicant is improper use. So the use of alcohol as a medicine is its proper use, and anyone using it for this purpose is not placing himself under the influence of alcohol. So the right use of anything is called as Vairagya. So when you understand the right use of anything, then the mind does not become a slave to any object. Then the mind is not constantly longing for any object. So then one becomes indifferent to it. So by being in developing this indifference or not being constantly attracted by the crude things, then what happens is that why should we develop Vairagya? When you develop Vairagya, what happens? You are not attracted by the crude objects of the world. Then your mind becomes more and more subtle. So when your mind becomes more and more subtle, then your interest in spirituality also increases. So that is why we have to develop this Vairagya Bhava, that is Viragasya Bhavaha, not being attracted by the crude objects of the world, understanding the proper use of the object. So putting an object to its right use is actually Vairagya. So Vairagya does not mean giving up all the objects of the world. It is understanding the proper use of the objects and putting them to proper use, and not being colored by those objects, but being indifferent to those objects. That is what is the Vairagya. Vairagya is very essential for a sadhaka to progress spiritually, because it makes the sadhaka's mind very, very subtle. So that is what is the Vairagya that I wanted to just give a brief introduction about Vairagya. So now going back to where we actually stopped last class. So we had basically said that the mind resides in the body, and the body has to provide an anukula vatavarana and conducive environment for the mind to grow and develop spiritually. So so that is what the yogis they realized very, very long time ago, that the body should be in a healthy condition. If the body is not in a healthy condition, then it does not provide a proper environment for the mind to grow. So the body has to be in a healthy condition so that the mind can grow. So actually it is not only a healthy condition, it is very well harmonized. All the glands of the body, they should be functioning properly, right? They should be working well. They should be working in a synchronized manner. Then what happens is that when all the glands of the body are working well, then it helps the mind to also to grow and helps the mind to progress further. So that is what we said. For the health of the body, the Yoga Nishtha Jivanam is very essential to maintain the health of the body. So when the health of the body is maintained properly, then it helps the mind also to progress spiritually. So the one aspect that we talked about for the body to be healthy is yogasana. So when the body is engaged in doing yogasanas, then it makes the body more, it makes the body more sattvic, it makes the mind also more sattvic. So we also said that we are not going to be engaged in doing the thousands of asanas. We are going to be only doing those specific asanas which are helpful for a sadhaka to progress spiritually, right? So we talked about that. And then also but the reason why we are only engaging in specific asanas is because to put proper pressure and support for the specific glands throughout the body, which are very important for managing the activities of the mind. So the whole goal is to create a conducive atmosphere or environment for the mind, and for that reason only we do the asanas. So then also we said that in addition to the yoga asanas, we also said that food is also that yoga is a very, very practical science. So therefore the food is also an important aspect. So everything that we do in yoga, when we say yoga is a practical science, so everything that we do has a value only to the extent it is brought to practice. So we have to learn something and then put it to practice. We have to learn something, put it to practice. We learn something and we don't put it to practice, then it is no use. Then it just becomes like you're hearing it from one ear and you're letting it go from the other ear. There's no use. So we have to understand what are the things that we have to put to use. And one main thing that we have to put to use is, in addition to the yoga asanas, is the food, right? So the Sattvik Ahara. So we are all living in this material world, and also people are miseducated into thinking that food is for bhoga, food is designed for bhoga, and people give a lot of importance to the taste sensation. So taste sensation is everything for people. So what happens to the food after it gets swallowed? Nobody really cares about it. So the temporarily that food that stays in your mouth, that is what people think about. And that is why what happens is that even the food that is not good for you, you end up eating, and then what is the end result? The end result is that you get indigestion, you get all sorts of problems after you swallow the full of food, and also you may develop diseases and whatnot. So people really don't care about in this materialistic world. All they care about is this temporary experience that lasted for a few minutes as they were eating. So that is why we say that for a lot of people, food is like the main feature of their life. They always keep thinking, making plans about dinner, lunch. So that is the goal of their life. They are always thinking and planning as to which restaurant shall I go and eat, how will my food be, and they don't like to think about anything. They only like to think about how it is going to taste momentarily, and they don't care about what the ingredients are there in the food. So the temporary fleeting experience, that is what they care about. So that is kind of the environment that we are living in today's world. So we have to proceed very, very carefully in this the bhoga vatavaranam, right? So uh, and also for a yogi, we said that for a yogi the world exists. We don't say that the world do not exist. So the world exists. So we live in this world. We said we will live in this world with the viraga bhava, vairagya bhava. We will not get colored by the world. And so for us the world exists. So it is very important how we operate in this world. It is the philosophy of yoga is applicable at the individual level and also at the collective level. So what food should I eat? Sadhana, creating a proper environment for the body. All of these are at the individual level. So the individual level, the food that I eat, the Sattvik Ahara that I eat, the sadhana, the meditation that I do, the asanas that I do, creating a proper environment for the body, maintaining the body, keeping the body in a pristine condition. All these things are at the individual level. And then at the collective level, also there are collective level what you will do for the society. That those are also things. There are things that we will be talking about later on. So yoga is equally applicable at the individual level and also at the collective level. For a yogi, the samaja, the society is also equally important. So now we will just proceed to talk about the food. So we said that the mind resides in the body, and the body has to be in a pristine condition so that we will be able to concentrate on the infinite. So concentrating the mind is not an easy task. So we'll have to take all the help from the sadhana angas. So we'll have to take we'll have to take the help from all of the sadhana angas so that you can create a sattvic and a peaceful environment for the mind to do its work, right? Do its work in the sense, do the meditation, do sadhana, identify itself with the infinite, aham brahmasmi, becoming that very thing, which is actually, we don't realize we are infinite, but we feel we are finite. So yoga helps us to realize that we are infinite. So I'm actually infinite, but I don't feel like that. And because of that, it changes my entire existence, that I don't feel I am infinite. So how do I feel like that? How do I get to realize the fact, right? So that the mind, how do I realize I am Brahmasmi? For that, I need to create a conducive environment. The mind needs a conducive environment, becoming that very thing which a person is, but he doesn't realize. So realizing that infinite is all about yoga. I am that infinite, but I don't feel like that. So how do I how do I feel like that? So for that purpose, food is a very essential aspect. Ahara, Sattvik Ahara is a very essential aspect. So in this world, every object of this world is dominated by one of the three principles: sattva guna, three gunas. Every object of this world is made of three gunas: sattva guna, rajo guna, and tamo guna. And food is no exception, right? Every object is made of these three principles. So food is also no exception. And according to its intrinsic value, the food is also divided into its three categories, right? The physical body of every human being is actually composed of countless cells. There are a lot of cells in the human body, right? The cells of the human body, uh, they generally grow out of light, air, water, and the food that we eat. The cells of the body grow from the food that we eat, water, air, and also the light. So the nature of the food and drink has an impact on the cells of the body, and also consequently influences the human mind. So the nature of the food that we eat impacts the cells of the body and also influences the human mind. So obviously, each and every sadhaka or spiritual aspirant should be very, very cautious in selecting the food. Uh, Suppose a person takes tamasic food, what will happen is that what is the result of that? That is, that if you keep on eating tamasic food, then after a certain period of time, all your cells will become tamasic. Tamasic cells will grow, and they will have a tamasic influence on the mind. They will have a tamasic influence on the mind. So if you have a tamasic influence, so somebody may ask, what if there is a tamasic influence on my mind? So the tamasic influence when you have tamasic influence of your mind, then your mind is only attracted to the crude things of the world. Your mind does not get elevated, it just falls down, right? The mind मनसः पतनं भवति, the mind falls down. So as a sadhaka, we want to elevate the mind, we want to feel bliss, we want to experience ananda. That is the goal of life. If we take tamasic food, then what happens is that it has all the cells of the body will become tamasic, and then your mind also deteriorates. So the human beings must select sattvic food or sentient food. So then what happens is that this will lead to the birth of sattvic cells, which in turn will produce a love for spiritual practice and help in attaining equipoise, psychic equilibrium, help in attaining the peace, right? That sthita prajnata, the psychic equilibrium, equipoise. So leading to immense spiritual elevation. So sattvic food will produce a love for Parama Purusha. It will produce a love for spiritual practice and also help in attaining psychic equilibrium, leading to immense spiritual elevation. So the aura or the effulgence radiating from the human body is the effulgence of all its composite cells, right? So we have seen that, some Mahapurusha, when we say Mahapurusha, they have an aura around them. That is that all their cells are producing that effulgence. So when you eat the sattvic food, then what happens is that all the cells of your body will become sattvic and will become very effulgent, and your desire for the infinite also will increase drastically. As a result, eating sattvic food and performing all the spiritual practices, the cells of the body will become sattvic, and naturally an effulgence will emanate from these cells, and it will create an aura around the physical body of the aspirant. This is the reason why when many of the, when you see the pictures of Mahapurushas, it shows them with the radiant auras, because the cells of their body are radiating the aura. So if the cells of the body are affected by the food and water, and if the nature of the cells affect the nature of the human mind, then what does it mean? It means obviously human beings should eat correct diet, because food and mind are closely related to each other. The mind is made up of the food that we eat, right? Any food item, whether good or bad, must be taken indiscriminately, because it may lead to mental degeneration. So you should use your viveka before eating any food, right? Is this food going to elevate me, or is it going to bring me down? So we need to evaluate whether a food is good or bad. So a sincere spiritual aspirant must follow this dictum. It is called as Ahara Suddhau Sattva Suddhihi, right? Sattvik Ahara produces a sattvic body. Ahara Suddhau Sattva Suddhihi. So Sattva Suddhau Dhruva Smritihi. So when you eat sattvic ahar, it produces a sattvic body. So we should always remember this. We want to eat sattvic diet to produce a sattvic body. So the only the food which is helpful in keeping the body and mind sattvic should be eaten. That means the tamasic food and the rajasic food should be avoided. So what does that mean is that you need to understand what are the foods which come under the sattvic category, what are the foods which come under the tamasic category. We need to understand that. So sattvic food, so we said three categories, right? Sattvik Ahara, Rajasic Ahara and Tamasic Ahara. Sattvic food which produces the sattvic cells and is conducive to the physical mental well-being is sattvic. The food that is conducive to physical and mental well-being is sattvic food. And so when we said that all the objects of the world are made of three gunas: sattva guna, rajo guna and tamo guna. So if they are made of all the three gunas, and how do we say a particular food is sattvic? Is even though all the objects of the world are made of all the three gunas, but some foods have some guna in predominance, right, compared to the other gunas. So when we say sattvic, it means that the food which includes the sattva guna, due to the predominance of sattva guna, it is called as sattvic. So that does not mean it doesn't have rajoguna or tamoguna. It will have some rajoguna and tamoguna, but predominantly it has sattva-guna. So when we say food is rajasic, it includes rajoguna. Food includes rajoguna, and due to the predominance of rajoguna, it is called rajasic. Doesn't mean it doesn't have sattvic or tamoguna. Same way with the tamasic, when we say food is tamasic, it includes the tamoguna. Due to the predominance of tamoguna, it is tamasic. It does have some sattva-guna and rajoguna. There is no object in this world with single guna. All objects will have all the gunas, but some gunas will be more predominant in some object, and based on that, that object will be classified as sattvic, tamasic and rajasic. Right? So our overall goal as a sadhaka is to develop the desire for the infinite. For some people, due to their samskaras, the desire for the infinite is already there. But for some people, they have little desire for the infinite. They feel, yeah, this is the right path. I have little desire. But how do I awaken that more desire? How do I awaken the desire for the infinite? Is by making changes to the food is one aspect. By making positive changes to the food, by making your ahara sattvic, then what happens is that your desire for Paramapurusha, your bhakti bhava also increases. Your desire for there is a spiritual elevation, because your mind has now become more and more subtle. It's becoming more and more sattvic. Because of the sattvic impact on the mind, then the mind, as it's becoming subtle, it develops more attraction towards Paramapurusha. Paramapurusha is just like a magnet, right? And we are like an iron piece. So in order for the iron piece to get attracted to the magnet, the iron piece must be clean, must be pure. If it is having the malas, if it is having the doshas, then the iron will not be attracted to the Paramapurusha. How do we purify, how do we make the iron pure? Is one aspect of it is food. By having Sattvik Ahara, the mind becomes more and more pure. So that will help in increasing attraction for Paramapurusha. So that is why we should be thinking about the Sattvik Ahara. So this is the three categories of food, the three categories of gunas that I talked about. So going forward, we'll be talking about the what are the foods that come under the Sattva Guna, Rajoguna and Tamoguna. So can somebody summarize the slide for me? Krutika Bhagini, do you want to summarize?
Yeah, I will try. It was lots of information, but let me just put whatever I can. Since our mind resides in the body, so we need to keep our body in pristine condition. For that, we need to do yoga asana is one part of it, and food is the other. All kinds of food, all things in this world have the rajas, tamas, and sattvic guna. And food is also the same. So we need to consume food which has more of the sattvic guna. That helps to elevate our mind, and it helps us to the cells in the body become more pure and sattvic, and it helps us to be drawn towards the spiritual state. Than to sit down and meditate. The body is more conducive when the body is more pure and freedom. I can't think of more than I lost. I thought that
No.
Sorry. I can't think of more to say, ma'am. Sorry.
No. I'm going to put you on mute. No, Bhagini, that was really beautiful. You explained it. You have captured all the essential points that we talked about. Right? In this world, there are three gunas. Right? So we're talking about Yoganishta Jivanam, and there are three gunas in this. All the objects of the world are made of three gunas. We said, right? So I think you addressed all the key points. I just want to ask if Pushpalata Bhagini, is there anything else that you want to add?
That is this yoga actually, to move to the infinite world, we are we have to follow the we have to make our mind, because the mind resides in the body, the mind should be made subtle, and we should find ways. So we should not find, that is the ways are defined, like yoga some asanas actually. Then to go to the, make it subtle, we have to, the food also should be, that is for the agragati, that is there is an agragati. To attain that agragati, we have to follow these simple asanas, then make ourselves subtle with the food. Where food has got three, I mean the food are classified into three gunas: the Sattvik guna, the Rajasika guna, and Tamasa guna. So the Sattvik, moving first craving, actually most of the things we find practically also, only what food we should make, what should be in that. If we follow the food properly and have the Sattvika, our mind can be made subtle first, and that subtleness we can take our life to meet, to attain the infinity in a more better way. And we can also know that we can move from our Pashu Dharma to the human form, and then to the infinity.
Yeah. Nicely said, Sadhini. Yes, that is the idea. So everything in this world is made of three gunas. So the food is also made of three gunas. The human body is made of is composed of countless cells. So the cells are all growing from the food that we eat, the food and water that we take. The cells grow from the food and water that we take. So it's very important that we take the proper food, right? What kind of food should we take is that we should take Sattvik Ahara. Why should we take Sattvik Ahara? Is because when we take Sattvik Ahara, over a period of time, all our old cells will get replaced by the cells which are Sattvik, right? The cells of the body become Sattvik. When the cells of the body become Sattvik, it helps us to, it elevates the mind. It develops a love for Paramapurusha. It also helps in attaining the equipoise, psychic equipoise. So then it leads to immense spiritual elevation. Also the aura of the body also will completely change from the food that we eat. So eating Sattvic food is very, very essential. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. The sentient Sattvic diet produces a Sattvic body. Ahara Shuddhau Sattva Shuddhihi. Right? So therefore, we talked about three categories of food: Sattvic food, Rajasic food, and Tamasic food. There are three categories of food, and so the Sattvic food. So three categories of food: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. So Sattvic food produces Sattvic cells, and it is conducive for the physical and mental well-being. Food which produces Sattvic cells and is conducive for physical and mental well-being is called as the Sattvic food. The examples of Sattvic food are mainly the fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, sprouts. These are Sattvic. So rice, wheat, barley, pulses, fruits, vegetables, sprouts, these are all Sattvic. And then when you look at Rajasic, so the Rajasic food may be good for the body, but may not be good for the mind. Food which may be good for the body, but it is not good for the mind. Those foods are all Rajasic, right? So under the Rajasic category, you essentially have all the coffee, tea, carbonated drinks, red chilies, the dry red chilies. Those are all Rajasic, right? They should be avoided. The red chilies are the dry red chilies that we use in Indian cooking. That is completely Rajasic. It has a Rajasic impact on the mind, and also it is not good for the body. It is really not good for the stomach. It creates ulcer and creates all sorts of issues. So people use a lot of chilies when Indian cooking. We make the food very, very spicy. That kind of cooking, that kind of eating is not at all good for you, and not good for your body, not good for your mind as well. Completely Rajasic. And Tamasic Ahara is harmful for the mind, and it is also, it may or may not be good for the body, is called as tamasic. So in this category we have everything, all the non-vegetarian food like meat, fish, chicken, eggs, onion, garlic, mushroom, wine, alcohol, stale and rotten food, right? Meat of large animals such as cows, buffaloes, fish, eggs, etc. These are all tamasic food. These are all tamasic food. So we should not be eating onion and garlic. We may be saying that, oh, okay, I can try to stop eating onion and garlic, but my family, they have to eat. So because they have to eat, so I have to eat. So then that is not the right approach. The right approach is first to determine whether this style that we're talking about, is it beneficial for you? Have I experimented it? So first you need to experiment it. First you need to try out these things. So if you just say that, oh, I can't do the 2 times cooking because my family is not understanding. So you first need to try it out on yourself, and when you try it out on yourself, you'll realize what the difference is. When you realize the difference, then it is a matter of implementing it for your family, because what is good for you is essentially good for your family as well. So you need to take that responsibility of explaining to your family, right? You need, slowly there might be hesitation in the beginning, there may be hesitation, but eventually when you explain to them how the health benefits you get and how you can avoid all the diseases, then eventually they will also understand. So that responsibility is on you guys as a sadhaka to first understand this, implement in your life, and also help others, help your family members as well. So that is the best route that we want to take. But on the other hand, if you say that I'm already following a vegetarian diet, I'm already following, my diet is already good, I can't change my diet because then I have to change the diet of my family, so it's not possible for me to implement this, then obviously you're not going to get the benefit that is intended over here. So the first thing is that you need to be convinced that this is good, this is essentially good for my mind and my body. In order to be convinced, you need to implement it in your life. You need to try it out. You need to try it out for a month and see how it is. After a month, if you feel no, this is not good for me, then it's a different story. But you need to completely try it out, sincerely try it out for a month and see how it impacts your body and your mind. When you are convinced, then you have to take the next step of convincing your family members, because you want your family members as well to experience the same benefits that you have enjoyed. So then that next step is that. So this is what I would ask. This is how I approached it, is that yes, there is a difficulty in in convincing family members, because it's not possible to do cooking separately for them and for us. So but then for that, what we need to do is that initially 1 month we have to put up with the hardship, and we have to try it out first ourselves and see how it is on our health, right? When you feel that it is completely good and feeling really great, then the next step comes about convincing family members. So that is how I would request you guys to take this up forward. And also one more thing I would like to say is that we may be thinking that we are eating vegetarian diet and which is Sattvik diet. That is not so, because there are other aspects I'm just going to talk about. That we may be all of us may be vegetarians. That does not mean that we are eating Sattvik Ahara. Sattvik Ahara over here, what are the other aspects that I'm going to be talking about? I'll cover that in the next slide. But in this slide, the key point is that our diet should be whole foods, plant-based, is recommended for a yogi, is a recommended diet for a yogi. And another thing is that we should be cooking using water, not oil. So when in Indian cooking, what we do is we put oil in a kadai, and then we heat it up, and then we put all the spices and then heat it up at very high temperature. That is not at all good. When you heat oil at very high temperature, it becomes carcinogenic, it becomes cancer producing. So we should not be doing that. We should not be putting oil in a pan and heating it at high temperature. That is one aspect, that the oil becomes carcinogenic, it becomes cancer producing. And the second aspect is the refined oil that all of us use. Refined oil, the word it says refined, that doesn't mean that it is purified and they're given you a clean product. That does not mean. The oil goes through a lot of processes and as a result what happens is that the nutritional value of that oil is zero, and all that is remaining in that oil is just fat, and that fat is not at all required for your body. Having that fat actually causes all sorts of diseases. So refined oil is completely no for a yogi, right? So we'll be talking about a little bit more about it further in the slides. So what happens is that very often people, what they do is they eat food without knowing the qualities. The intrinsic qualities of the food should be known. So most often what we do is we eat the food without knowing the qualities, right? For instance, just one example, the milk of a cow which has just given birth, right? The milk of a cow which has just given birth, that milk we should not be drinking. That milk is toxic for human beings. But the milk that we get in packet, do we know that the milk that we got in the packet is not from a cow which has just given birth? There is no way for us to know that, right? So the milk that is milk of a cow which has just given birth is completely toxic for human beings. But when we drink milk, we have no idea whether that milk is from a cow that just gave birth or not. So that is just one example. Also, like we have this white eggplant, horse gram, right, mustard leaves. All of these grew out of rotten matter, right? They grew out of rotten matter and they are tamasic. So when you eat these, then what happens is that your cells of your body also become tamasic. So we should avoid these foods. So in order to have a balanced mind and to progress spiritually, we all have to pay attention to the qualities of the food we eat, right? So if somebody says that I will just do my sadhana and I'll eat any food, whether it is proper or improper, that will not help. That will not help you progress spiritually. It will also not keep your body in a healthy condition. That is also there. See, some people may not be spiritually inclined, but even then everybody needs to have a healthy body to function in this world. So even to be healthy, you need to follow a good diet. Sattvik diet is the diet to have a healthy body and to avoid all diseases. So the entire body is made up of the food that we eat, and that is the first point. We must understand this. Our hands, legs, fingers, muscles, organs, brain, everything is made up of the food that we eat. It's physically made up of that. So if we are going to eat crude things, right, if somebody is eating meat, then what happens is then the body also becomes, the cells of the body becomes made of that. So that's why we have to be very, very careful about what we eat. We should not be eating meat. I'm thinking that all of us are vegetarians over here, so that yeah, so we should not be eating meat. We should not be eating any of the animal products. So in this slide we talked about food that comes in three categories. So we'll be talking about these little bit more. So we also said that this entire world is constituted of three forces of interaction, three gunas. Everything is made up of these three gunas. Everything has a vibration in this world. Everything in this world, from a rock to everything you can see, everything has a spandan. Everything is spandanatmak. So the food is also like that. So the food also is spandanatmak. So the food that you eat it produces a spandan. So if you take sattvic food, then it produces sattvic spandan. So like for instance, even any objects that you see, so somebody paints a painting, and that painting, depending on what it is depicting, it can have a sattvic vibration, or it can have a rajasic vibration, or it can have a tamasic vibration. So like I think I mentioned last class as well, that we find all kinds of images on the internet, right? Some of them may be sattvic, some of them may be tamasic, some of them may be rajasic. So that's why it's essential to understand what we should see, what we should eat, what we should hear. So every aspect, every aspect of the senses, right, every sense organ should be employed in such a way that our whole existence becomes sattvic. Food is also like that. Everything has three gunas. There is nothing which is only made of one guna. So everything has these three gunas. Something is predominantly of sattva guna, then it will be sattvic in nature, because it is predominant by sattva guna. If it is predominant by rajoguna, then it will be called as rajasic. If it is predominant by tamoguna, then it will be called as tamasic, right? So we said that sattvic food, fruits, vegetables, grains and beans, these are all sattvic. And in our regular diet, the most common thing is onion and garlic and mushroom. That we should completely avoid. They are all tamasic. These are small changes. They're not big changes. Avoiding onion, garlic, and mushroom, I think they're not big changes. We can make those changes. They're small changes. So essentially, our goal is to be focusing on fruits, vegetables, grains, and beans. Right? Also, I said that Rajasic food may or may not be good for the body, but has a Rajasic effect on the mind. Makes the mind chanchal, right? Makes the mind chanchal, and that in that category, coffee, tea, carbonated drinks, those are the things. Tamasic, all products which come from animals are all tamasic, right? Meat, fish, eggs, everything, these are all tamasic. So essentially, at the end of the day, whole foods, plant-based is the medical term in today's world. Whole foods, plant-based is the diet that we should be taking. We should not be eating any tamasic foods. Okay, so this slide, who can summarize from Chandrasekhar Modi? Do you want to summarize?
I'll try, Bhani.
Yeah, please.
There are three categories of food: Sattvik, Rajasic, and Tamasic. Everything has all three gunas. We're just saying these that have predominantly Sattvik guna or Sattvik predominance over the other two gunas are fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, and sprouts. And those that have predominantly Rajasic over the other two gunas are coffee, tea, carbonated drinks, and things like that. Even the red chili that everyone seemed to like spicy foods. Then the ones that are predominantly tamasic, that have predominantly tamasic gunas, or animal products, and also things like onion, garlic, and mushrooms. And the recommendation from for a yogi is whole foods, plant-based foods, as today's terminology refers to. And also the recommendation is to cook, use minimum oil, cook mostly with water. And the whole idea is to follow a Sattvik diet. The Sattvik diet would enable the individual to develop a Sattvik attitude and to develop a psychic equilibrium that would rise above the ordinary and eventually have that effulgence, radiant aura. But that whole process starts with, in addition to the yogasana, starts with having the proper ahara and the Sattvik Ahara to make you all, and even though in here we focus on food, the underlying message is that all senses should focus towards Sattvik. It's just not food, the taste, what you hear, what you see, what you touch, feel. Everything should focus towards things that are Sattvik and avoid senses that are Rajasic and Tamasic as well.
Very nice, Maudya. Very nice. Nicely said. So only one thing I will just correct is that we're not saying use minimum oil. We're saying not to use oil, not to use oil at all. That is what we're saying. So we are not saying use a little bit of oil. We're saying completely remove oil from your food. Oil is not required. Food, fruits, vegetables, everything has the minimum fat that we need, right? So we're saying completely eliminate oil. That is what we're saying. We'll be talking about a little bit more. It is going to come in my slides as well. So one other thing that I would like to talk about is dairy products. Dairy products. Technically speaking, the dairy products, they are all fall under the Sattvik category. The cow's milk, right? They fall under the Sattvik category. But in today's world, right? So what happens is that in generally speaking, the children, right? Children drink milk when they're infants. They drink milk because for their growth and development, milk is required because milk is rich in fat, minerals, vitamins, the milk, sugar, everything. So they uh, they need milk for their growth because when they're infants, their cells are growing rapidly, so they need milk to grow. So when you look at animals, even animals up to when they're very very small, when they're infants, they drink milk from their mother, right? If you look at all the animals, they drink milk from their mother. Then after, when beyond that infancy, they stop drinking milk and then they eat other foods. But human beings are the only beings on this earth who continue to drink milk even after they are grown up adults. They continue to drink milk, right? So then what happens is that, so the question is, should we be drinking milk or not, right? In today's world, the way that milk is being produced from the cows, the cows are injected with hormones, they're injected with antibodies, they're injected with the milk has a lot of pesticides, antibiotics, not antibodies, antibiotics, right? So then what happens is that today's milk, the processes that the milk goes through in today's world, the milk is no longer considered as Sattvik, no longer considered as Sattvik. And also the cows are ill-treated. The cows are ill-treated during the whole process. So we'll be talking a lot about yama and niyama going forward. The yoga ethics. One point is ahimsa. So the whole process in which the cow is made to give milk, the process is full of himsa. So it is completely violating the yama and niyama, the yama. So therefore, so based on ahimsa, based on the point of ahimsa also, we should not be taking dairy products. We should not be taking any dairy products. So essentially vitamin B12 is essential for the human body, but we don't need much of it. We just need a little bit of vitamin B12. So in the ancient times, people were even without taking milk, like the cows. So in ancient times, even without taking milk, you see that the cows don't produce vitamin B12. Microorganisms actually produce vitamin B12. So due to that, and also the standard of living, the standard of hygiene in ancient times, then the microorganisms were present and people were not washing in the same way their hands and legs as we do now. So even in their hands, the microorganisms were present. So people were eating with different levels of hygiene and they were getting the vitamin B12, right? So people were getting vitamin B12 even from the environment. But the milk does have vitamin B12 in it, but because it is inside the digestive tract of cows, it produces a vitamin B12 and it gets into the milk as well. So there is some vitamin B12 in milk. But so if somebody is a pure vegetarian, then one needs to have some vitamin B12 either as a supplement or excuse me, we need to have some supplement as a vitamin B12. We can talk about those, but yeah. So we are saying that we should not be taking dairy products. We should be eliminating dairy products. So we do need some supplement of vitamin B12. So that we should take some. And also if we said that the cow milk is considered Sattvik, so if it's Sattvik, why shouldn't I drink cow milk? Why shouldn't I take the cow product? Why shouldn't I take the ghee? Why should I not take the paneer and any other milk product like the cheese? Why should I not take that? So we said that the processes that the milk goes through is not good, and also it violates the ahimsa. So when will the cow milk be considered Sattvik? Is if you yourself had a family cow and you have, and your family, you're living in the farm, you're living in the farm, you have a cow, you take care of the cow with love and affection, you take great care of the cow, and then then you keep the cow till it becomes old, and then the cow will die a natural death. Then you know that the cow had a happy existence, and whatever milk it produced, when it was pregnant, it didn't get artificially impregnated. It didn't get artificially impregnated by the farmer using hormonal injections or artificial insemination. In that situation, when you know that the cow has been properly taken care of with love and affection, and the calf had enough milk to drink, and only after the calf drank the milk, whatever remaining milk was available, then that milk was consumed by you, and that milk is actually sattvic. But it is not like that in today's environment. The milk is not produced in such a manner. If you look in the milk industry, I can actually share with you some video links if you're interested. So the milk is not produced in such a manner in today's world. So that is the reason we are saying that cow's milk, even though it is considered sattvic, we should not be consuming cow's milk. And also the amount of fat content in the cow's milk is not, human beings are not able to digest that fat content. As a result, people are getting all sorts of diseases, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, stroke, everything is deeply related with milk. So essentially, if you're living in a countryside and you have your own cow and you're taking care of the cow and you're getting the milk from the cow, so the cow will not be giving you it will not be giving a lot of milk. The cow will be giving you hardly 1 or 2 liters of milk, and the calf will be drinking the milk, and whatever little remaining milk is available, then if you consume that, then it is considered as sattvic, right? You will not be consuming a lot of milk. You will be consuming a very little milk, that is sattvic. But in today's world, it is not like that, right? So in today's world, the cow is artificially inseminated, continuously artificially inseminated, and particularly if you look in India, the environment where the cow is so unhygienic, and the cow keeps falling sick, and they're being given antibiotics. In order to increase the production of milk, they're being given hormonal injections, and they produce a lot more milk, and the cow milk is not being given to the calf. The calf is deprived of the milk, and the cow's emotions towards the calf is not even considered. It's completely ignored. It's a very, very cruel act. It's a very cruel act. And when the cow is no longer able to produce the milk, it is just sent to the slaughterhouse, and it is consumed as meat, as beef, right? So in today's world, these are completely against the yama of ahimsa. And also from a nutritional perspective, the cow's milk has nothing but fat. It has a lot of fat, and that much of fat is not required for us, is not required for human beings. So we should actually see these videos and see how the cows have been treated all over the world. And so taking cow's milk and milk products every day regularly is not healthy because of the reasons I just mentioned, right? And also the nutritional component of cow's milk is liquid meat, is essentially liquid meat. So that is why you can see in today's world, so many people, if you see in India, so many people living, they are getting all sorts of problems. People are obese. Obesity is number one problem there. Obese, they get all sorts of health problems. And you see that most of these people are vegetarians. So you'll be wondering, if they're vegetarians, how come they're having all these problems? It is because of doodh, ghee, paneer, milk, all these things. Because of these things, we're getting all these problems. Therefore, in today's world, we cannot consider cow's milk sattvic, because anything that is disease producing cannot be considered sattvic. Cow's milk is disease producing in today's world, and it cannot be considered sattvic. And also, if you see that the cow's milk is added with lot of bleaching agents, urea, it is added with all sorts of things in today's world. So it definitely cannot be considered sattvic. It is disease producing, and so we're talking about Sattvik Ahara over here. So we cannot consider cow's milk as sattvic. And if vitamin B12 is essential nutrient, so for that we can consider supplements, and the cow hasn't been harmed in that process. Cow hasn't been harmed in that process, and also the yama of ahimsa is not violated. So in today's modern world, for to consider sattvic ahara, milk cannot be considered as sattvic ahara. Okay. Do you guys have any questions?
Ma'am, you mentioned 3 things that were grown from rotted stuff. Mustard, something, I didn't catch that.
A mustard seed.
A mustard seed.
What? I'm going to mute you for a minute. Mustard seeds, white eggplant, and horse crab. So I also have this list over here. We will be going through this in detail in the next class. So so what are the tamasic foods? So over here, so this Kritika Bhagini, why don't you read this slide? Sattvik Ahara.
In yogic life, foods are divided into 3 categories: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic food, good for body and mind. Rajasic food, agitating effect on the mind. Tamasic food, negative effect on both body and mind.
Can you see?
Yeah, I can. Sattvic food, fruits, vegetables, grains, beans. Rajasic food, coffee, tea, carbonated beverages. All tamasic food have a negative degenerative effect on the mind. Most tamasic foods have a negative degenerative effect on the body as well. These include all the products which are made from animals. Some foods of the plant origin are in the tamasic category. These have a negative effect on the mind. Mind only, not on the body. Tamasic food from plants include onions, garlic, mushrooms, white brinjal, white eggplant, violet colored carrots, red puny leaves, mustard greens, mustard seeds. Is sattvic only the leaves of the plant itself are tamasic? Okay. And what is it?
Kesari dal
and masoor dal and orange colored lentil. Okay, that's it, right?
Yeah, these are all tamasic.
एकः प्रश्नः नमस्ते भगिनि अत्र here you said masoor dal, right? Kesari dal, masoor dal. So those are lentils, right? So
yeah,
they are also tamasic.
Yeah, those 2 categories are tamasic. Not the tur dal is not tamasic, and the moong dal is not tamasic. They're all sattvic. But this kesari dal and masoor dal, they are tamasic because they grow on rotten matter. Red puny leaf is basically the Malabar spinach. Malabar spinach is red puny leaf.
Oh, Malabar spinach.
Yeah. So the onion, garlic, mushroom, white brinjal, violet colored carrots, the Malabar spinach, mustard greens. Mustard seed is sattvic. Mustard greens is tamasic. Kesari dal and masoor dal, they are all tamasic. These are all tamasic from this one from the when we say grains. These kesari dal, masoor dal, they are tamasic. And when we say vegetables, it is like onion, garlic, mushroom, white brinjal, carrot, and the Malabar spinach and mustard greens. These are tamasic. Mustard seeds are okay.
So they grow on rotten substances.
Yeah, they grow on rotten food, then the cells of that lentils will be made of tamo guna. Therefore, when we eat, our cells also will be made of tamo guna.
धन्यवादः भगिनी
Avagatam. So do you guys have any specific questions or any concerns, or what do you guys think about implementing this ahara, Sattvik Ahara? So it's just not talking in the class and going away. So we need to make some positive changes in our life. So what do you guys think?
Again, we can implement it, but a little slow. See, now,
okay.
As you said, we are vegetarians and we are already on that. But for example, we take coffee. We used to take 3 times a day. Now we take only once. So in the morning, we don't immediately, as soon as we get up, we take coffee. That and all we have avoided. Similarly, vegetables spicy, for example, we are making potatoes and all, it is all roasted. So using, first boiling it and using, just marinating it, not immediately with more oil, with less oil, then slowly getting away with that. So that way we can start implementing. And as you said, dairy products like milk can be avoided. So again, that coffee, tea, or any beverages, taking with, or instead we can take what to say, soups or something like that. That way we can start implementing things. But it cannot be done immediately.
Yeah, but you have to start making some changes. You have to start making some changes, and you have to let me know how you are feeling by making those changes. Because unless you make changes and see how you feel, you're not going to be able to recommend it to others, right? You need to feel the positive change. So that you need to make some changes.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So let me know, try it out and let me know, and share with me your experience, because it doesn't have to be that you have, even with making a change in one meal, you will see a difference, right? Even making a change in one meal, you will see difference. How you feel, right? How you feel, how energetic you feel, how your stomach feels. So you make a change for one meal and see how you feel, right? Okay, Shirisha Bagni, did you have something to say?
Yes, Bagni. Yes. Here you said red chili, right? Red chili is Rajasik Aharam.
Yeah.
So it gives just like coffee. It gives some kind of caffeine in coffee, some kind of drug or what?
No, it is not. It's not drug. The red chili itself is Rajasik. It just makes your mind Rajasik. It makes you more chanchal. And also it is not good for your health. The red chilies, they are harmful for your stomach. They're harmful for your stomach. They can create ulcers, right? They can create burning sensation. They can create the digestive tract issues. They can create GERD, right? All sorts of issues they can create. Red chilies. Green chilies in very, very moderation. Very little green chili is okay. Green chilies are sattvic, but not a lot. Very little. Okay, so yeah, I think you guys all should seriously think about it. So we can wrap up the session now unless you have any questions. Okay, tarhi धन्यवादः, नमस्कारः.
धन्यवादः भगिनी.
नमस्कारः, धन्यवादः.